listeners. Welcome to Plano's Political Pit Bulls podcast. I am Esther.
And I'm Ruth.
And today we are going to talk about Trump's economic tax plan. Now, in episode 13, we talked about Vice President Harris's tax plan from an economic point of view. Remember, we are not red or blue, we are green. Green as in money. So, to be fair and balanced, we are going to talk about Trump's tax plan. Figured it was only the fair thing to do. So, not much has come out about the plan. Politicians often do this to us. They just kind of get it in dribs and drabs. So, we're just going to go over what I found out there doing my research. So it could change later on. He could add, he could subtract things. But from what I know today, currently he wants to propose lowering the corporate income tax rate from 21 to 20%. So 1 point. Not very big there. We could go down a little bit more. Wouldn't hurt. But if a company makes its products in the U.S., then they will get a 15% tax rate.
Oh, a little incentive.
Yes, a little incentive to move to our shores.
And for companies to stay on our shores.
Yes.
Instead of going overseas.
Oh, very good thing. Trying to compete with Ireland there at 12%,
I didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm. So, some other things. Increase the child tax credit. So, I've heard numbers floating around, 5,000, 6,000. This is something that Vice President Harris has now added to her plan as well. I guess she liked it so much, she took it.
Hey, you take things, well, when someone copies you, it's a ultimate form of flattery.
Exactly. So, basically, you have a kid, you get a tax credit. And right now I've heard 6,000. I would rather you just not take the money in the first place, but okay, get back to me, sure. All right, make the Trump's tax cuts permanent. You could see that one coming. That's an easy one. Yes, let's make those tax permanent because nobody wants a tax increase. Now this one I'm not too sure about. Tax large private university endowments. Now, do you know what an endowment is, Miss Ruth?
Not really.
Okay. So universities like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Cornell, I don't know, think of some of those big ones. They have what's called endowments. And basically, the alumni, the people who graduated from that university, your university may even have one of these. You may be getting future letters to please donate to the university.
So, I've been getting those.
But they didn't waste any time, did they? So, yes, donate to the university. So they take that money and they put it in what's called an endowment fund. Okay?
Okay, and what do they do with it?
That's a good question because I can tell you what they're not doing with it. Lowering tuition. That is something they are not doing with it. What they are doing with it, I have no idea. And I know some of these Ivy League universities have very large millions and millions and millions of dollars in their endowment. Now, they could use it is to give out scholarships, I would hope. That could be something. I don't know if it is. It's an interesting thing. I'm not quite sure why he wants to tax them. Unless he just wants to, I don't know, it could be just something he's floating out there. Sometimes he puts things out there to kind of open up negotiations, but I'm not quite sure what this would be, the purpose.
It's almost like he just thought of it and put it out there, but who knows where it's going.
I don't know where that's going, so obviously the big news he made was the no tax on tips.
Mm-hmm.
That was also something that Vice President Harris liked very much.
Yeah, she copied it down to revealing it in the same place. I mean, it's a good strategy, you know?
Well, yeah, Las Vegas, the basically main attraction there is your hospitality, your gambling, your casinos, your shows, and hospitality is very big in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So that is an idea. Now, these folks, that is what they live on. So I know, I don't know if it's the same for, let's say, the housekeeping services, but for servers in restaurants, their income is tips. They make about $2 something an hour. It could be $3 now. But they don't make minimum wage because they make up their money in tips. So it's a trade-off. You know, the restaurant owner can have a lower wages for his employees. He doesn't have to spend so much because they're making that up in the tips. The issue with tips is that obviously years ago it was mostly you were getting tips in cash.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started adding it to their credit card. When they pay on the credit card, they add it to the credit card bill or the credit card receipt. As people stopped carrying around cash, okay? So it became easier for the IRS to track those. Obviously, cash is very fluid, so it makes it, what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just say that people had to be very honest in how much they were making from their tips. Interestingly, the Biden administration actually put more IRS workers just to go after the people who weren't declaring all their tips. So it's a very interesting strategy, I guess, for him to have this. It's an interesting concept because basically the majority of their salary will not be taxed.
Mm-hmm. And then you also added the no tax on overtime.
Oh, yes. I forgot about that one. No tax on overtime. Yes. That is also a good one. Now, obviously, that's just extra. So it's not your base income.
Yeah, but I think I like that one because, like you said, it's extra. You're working later. You're working more hours than you're expected to. So the fact that you're taxed on it, you're essentially being it's like a punishment, you know? You're still getting taxed on it. So not getting taxed on it is like it's
an
incentive.
Yes, it's an incentive to do more overtime. I guess that could be a good thing if those want that to do that. The other one that I find very interesting: no tax on Social Security income. Now, I have to admit, I was very shocked to learn that they actually tax your Social Security.
But we're getting taxed to put into Social Security.
Yeah, so first you get taxed to take the Social Security money. or take the money that you're putting in for Social Security from your paycheck
then
when you're working.
That's like half of where your taxes go.
Yes. So they take the money from you as a tax when you're working, and then when they actually pay you the Social Security, they're taxing it again. They're getting two dips at the apple, or 2 bites at the apple. So I do think that it is very ludicrous that they would even tax the Social Security. Well, they also tax your retirement too.
So scummy.
It is. You put away, you save, you scrimp, you put away for retirement, and then they tax you when you take it out. They tax it going in, and they tax it when you take it out.
You can't escape the taxes.
Nope. No, you can't. So I found that very appealing, and I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to like that one when they hear about it.
I hope he follows. If he happens to get elected, I hope he would follow through on it.
Oh, I think he'll follow through. I mean, he followed through on the tax cuts that he enacted when he got into office the first time. His problem is going to be Congress. So specifically, well, I don't know if I can say, I'm going to say this, specifically the Democrats. The Democrats usually are not, just in the past, have not been about cutting taxes. Now, these two things they may go with, because the no tax on tips and the no tax on your Social Security income, that they may go for.
It helps the lower class.
Yes, it helps. It helps I don't know. I mean, Bill Gates will still be taxed on his Social Security income.
Okay.
So having him not get taxed on it, believe it or not, he actually does collect Social Security. I hope he gives it to charity, because they force you to take it. It's, you can't opt out, as far as I'm aware. So he would get his full check too. But majority of the seniors out there are not Bill Gates and have his money. So that would help seniors who, I mean, if you're on Social Security, you're on a fixed income as it is, I would think that they'd be all for that. The no tax on tips, that's for your servers. Servers don't make a lot, or for anybody who makes tips. Typically, those folks are people who are not wealthy. Nobody's giving Bill Gates a tip, I guess. So they're not wealthy. They're usually making, in the case of servers, below minimum wage. So perhaps, who knows, maybe they can actually come to an agreement on this. I don't know how Republicans would feel about these two things. I mean, generally speaking, Republicans usually like tax cuts, but you don't know what the numbers are going to be for this, so we will see. But I think his big problem is going to be Congress and getting these things through.
Mm-hmm.
At least the part on the no tax on Social Security and no tax on tips. And overtime. Yes. Now, overtime may be something that he may get great pushback on, because if you're salaried, they may depend on your salary. Even those making high incomes, they can get overtime too.
True.
So that's going to depend on Congress. Now, some of the other things he wanted to impose higher tariffs on imports, anywhere from 20 to 60%. Now, I have always been one who doesn't like tariffs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back years ago, they were the only way we actually had taxes. It was the taxes on imports. That's how government made its money. And that was doing very well for about 100 years. And then they instituted the income tax. So I have never been for high tariffs on imports, because as a free market person, I'm a free trader, and I always believed that the free flow of goods was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when I heard when Trump ran the first time, that he wanted to put higher tariffs, I was like, what is he doing? That's crazy. Did he not learn from the past? No, bad idea. Bad idea. Abort. But after he got elected and he started to wanting to do some of these things and say, well, then he started saying, well, here's the thing. They tax our imports. So I'll give you an example, which I was floored when I found this out. So Canada and the U.S. would trade in, they would import and export. Canada would take our cheese and they would charge us 100%, charge our dairy farmers 100% tax on our cheese.
100%?
100%.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Oh, yeah. 100% tariff on cheese.
Wow.
And then we would take their cheese and we wouldn't tax 100%.
Well, that's why they did 100%, because they're like, well, they're not gonna do anything about it.
Well, then along came President Trump. And he
So it's
said,
like, I'm not gonna lie down and take this.
no. He said, no. You're not punishing our dairy farmers like this. So he said, if you're going to tax our cheese at 100% tariff, we're going to tax your cheese at 100% tariff.
I mean, sounds fair.
Well, it was very fair. He wasn't saying, I'm going to tax you more. He's saying, I'm going to tax you. Want to tax us? We'll tax you right back at the same amount. Well, lo and behold, Canada went, wait. Let's not do that.
Yeah, see, they're taking advantage.
Let's not. No. How much how much lower you want? So now they started negotiating, and he negotiated a lower tariff on our cheese that we exported to Canada.
You know what it was lowered to?
I don't remember what it was lowered to. I was so fixated on the fact that it was 100% tariff on our cheese that we sent to Canada that I don't remember what he got it down to. So he got the tariff lowered, and now we are exchanging our cheese for the same amount, and it's a lower amount.
So do you think when he says, essentially he's going to do this, when he says, what is it?
20 to 60. He says 60% is for China.
Okay, so you think it's basically like he's going to do the same thing he did before?
I think so.
Where he's going to negotiate with these countries and be like, let's get this lowered.
Yeah, some of it was a negotiating tool. And because obviously the countries did not want their stuff that they exported to us to have a huge tariff.
No one would. And I'm surprised that the U.S. would allow would allow other countries to take advantage of us like that and just accept the tariffs they put on us.
Well, that was his whole big thing. He said, this is from him, that he was tired of seeing us being taken advantage of by other countries. One of the reasons he felt that our companies were leaving and going to other countries and making products in other countries and not making them here was because we were so out of whack with our trade.
Mm-hmm.
And he strongly felt that we needed an even playing field. If you're going to tax us 20% on our cars, if we send our cars over to Germany, let's say, and they're going to tax us at 50%, why should we take Germany's BMWs and Mercedes-Benz and tariff them at 5%? I'm making up those numbers, okay? But that was the point. We were taking their goods at a lower tariff than they were taking ours. And he felt like we were getting, pardon the expression, screwed over. So
he is a businessman.
Yes, he is. And that was something that he was very, very, very passionate about. And he did fix a lot of those things. To my shock, I was so surprised at this that really I began to see that he was using this as a tool to try and or a negotiation tactic to try to get these tariffs lower for us on our goods that we would ship over there.
Yeah.
So perhaps this is something that he will continue to do. I will say that the Biden administration did not change the tariffs when they came in. So they must have liked it because they were...
Well, why wouldn't they like it?
They were pouring in tariff money.
Yeah, why wouldn't they like it?
Exactly. So they didn't change it. So
don't fix what isn't broken.
So that was definitely, I can see him still going and doing that. And that might be something that he goes even further with. Well, what I see here, I don't see a lot of taxes other than that one on endowments, where I'm not quite sure where that's going. That could, depending on what they use the endowment for, it could be a good or bad thing. Mm-hmm. I'm generally not a person who wants taxes, so I wouldn't tax it myself. I would actually say my thing would be, and maybe this is his idea, I don't know, but this would be my idea. Say, lower your tuition. Use your endowment, your billions and billions of dollars in endowment money you have, and lower the tuition, or I'm going to tax it. That's what I would do, But that's just me. I think that's only fair. I mean, some of these schools are the price of homes.
I think what we're seeing is just typical for, I don't know. I know I haven't been around for a lot of elections, and 3 of them have been with the same guy. To my memory, that I've been paying attention for. But typically throughout my knowledge of history, Republicans tend to want to lower and cut taxes. The Democratic candidate tends to either say, I'm not going to cut your taxes, but they don't really say that they're going to cut it. So this is just par for the course, in my opinion, for what is typical.
Wait, do you mean they're going to raise your taxes?
No, they never say you're going to raise it. They just say you're not going to cut it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just say I'm not gonna raise it.
Well, they usually say we're going to raise the taxes on the rich, don't they?
Sometimes.
Yeah. I can't remember an election that I have not heard the rich must pay their fair share. That is a phrase I keep hearing over and over and over again. And I ask the question, okay, what is the fair share? They never give you a number. You know, and you say, okay, how much money can Bill Gates keep? What is it? I mean, 50%, 40%, 60%. I mean, they never give you a number.
We kind of already know what the number is because I think it's like...
No, I'm talking... Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, when you add income tax, state income tax, property tax, sales tax,
well, when they're talking about
tax, Social Security tax, all the taxes all together.
Well, when they're typically talking about taxes, like, we're not going to raise your taxes or we have to raise the taxes on the rich, they're typically talking about income tax.
Yes. That is something I've noticed. Generally, you have to ask, which tax are you talking about?
Or even on the flip side, we're going to cut taxes. It's usually the income tax.
The income tax, yes.
They're not talking about any other tax but the income tax.
Mm-hmm. And so,
unless they specify.
Right. But whenever I hear the rich have to pay their fair share, I'm like, okay, so give me the number between all the taxes that the person has to pay. What is the fair share? Is it 60? Is it 50? Is it 4? What is that number? They never say the total number. They just say, well, you know, we're going to have either we're going to tax on your death or we're going to tax on income or
well, politicians are never really very specific.
No, never.
Never.
Mm-mm.
Not a single one.
No. And you can't exactly take their word for anything. So, you know, like I said, these plans are forever going to change.
Yeah.
But from what I see from this, it's mostly cutting taxes, giving us more of our money, not taking more of our money.
Yeah.
So I think that...
And it surprises me I'm remembering Harris's tax plan that we know of, that essentially she put out there. I'm surprised she put that out there when you essentially, no one likes to get taxed, okay? You have one person saying, I'm going to raise taxes and all this, and this, and this. And then another person saying, I'm going to cut your taxes.
Well, now she did do the...
so I'm surprised.
Tax on tips.
Yes, she did add that.
She did add that, and the tax credit. So she added that,
right,
which she basically copied. But even the fact that...
But normally they don't say that they're going to raise taxes like that. Normally Democrats will say, I'm not going to raise your taxes. So the fact that she's openly admitting I'm going to raise is kind of strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on who, though. See, she keeps saying, I'm going to raise taxes on the rich. Now, I don't know what her definition of rich is. But
that list was long. Did it only apply to the rich? I can't remember.
See, that's the thing. She thinks it only applied to the rich, or what she put out there. I don't know, because she said she was going to tax capital gains. Now, capital gains is anything of value that you sell, stocks, your house. The biggest thing for a regular average Joe is the house. So if she does not exempt your primary home that you live in, if she doesn't exempt that, that's going to go to anybody who has a home.
She might not realize it.
Maybe not.
Someone should tell her.
Yeah, somebody please tell her. Does this include primary residences? Because now you've just increased the price of homes even more. Now, again, the only thing about the tariffs is that depending on if they go up, that will increase the costs of goods.
Yes.
That's where you don't like the tariffs. But again, he didn't really do it the last time.
Yeah, we're basing off what we know he did last time. I don't think that would change. I think we can base what he did prior. We can have a pretty good picture of what he's gonna do.
Your best judge of the future is what happened in the past.
Yeah.
So,
but we don't know.
I don't like taxes of any kind. I know it would be difficult for the government to make money in my world, but that is just, at least it's a tax on a good. I mean, tariffs have been around since, I think, maybe far back as they started trading things.
Well, you said that they used to not have an income tax. The taxes used to come from tariffs. So
yes.
Since the founding of the country.
Yes, that is.
And even before then. Yes. But we're talking about America here.
Yes. So I'm not saying there should be no tax on imports, although Hong Kong does that.
They don't do tariffs?
Nope. And they do. They don't put. They don't have tariffs on anything coming in or going out.
Oh.
And so they are. Well, they were before China took them back. They were the model of free market society. I mean, they were just the gold standard for a free market economy. And yeah, trade flowed freely, and they did very well.
And nobody copied them.
Until China, nobody copied them. And then China took them back, so, I don't know what's going on now in Hong Kong. We don't hear much from them anymore, sadly. I don't know how they're doing over there. I should probably look that up and see. Because I know that China wanted to exert more control over them, and they were fighting. And the people of Hong Kong were trying to fight that back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that ended up. Nevertheless, so all in all, I would say that Trump's tax plan will let us keep our money. That's always a good thing. And will give us more money back in our pockets with certain tax credits.
Mm-hmm.
So this most likely will be good for the economy.
And good for our pockets.
And good for our pockets. It usually is. Having more money is usually good for us.
And then we spend that money.
Well, that is the thing. Then we go and we spend the money and the GDP goes up, the gross domestic product. The only thing I don't see, of course, this is a tax plan. It's not an economic plan, but I would I must say this. The only thing I don't see is how are we going to increase the supply? Because if you want to bring down inflation, because inflation is too much money chasing too few goods, he's got to tell us how he's going to increase the supply of goods. Because right now the problem is the supply is low and the demand is high.
Well, that might go into the fact that he want that with the we think of him negotiating the tariffs, and also he's always. I remember in 2016, he was very much, and during his presidency, he was very much about keeping, America making their own goods. And wanting to incentivize that. That might be part of it.
Yeah, well, that 15% corporate tax, if you make your goods here.
Like wanting to incentivize more productivity. That goes into increasing supply.
Yes, it does. Oh, look at you, so smart. Yes, that would definitely increase the supply of things and help in the supply chain and push out the goods more. So yes, that could also do that and bring the prices down. And I know he wants to increase energy production, which will bring the prices down of energy. So that will bring that down. So, okay. Well, that is our take on it. You do your own research and you decide for yourselves. So that's going to be a wrap for us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us out with the algorithms. And our pit bull of the week is still Angel. She is still up for adoption. She is a 9-year-old pit bull who is very smart, knows the command for sit, and walks well on a leash. She is friendly with children. She likes to wear her sunglasses when she is outside. She is at the Plano Animal Shelter. You can go to our website, planospoliticalpitbull.com, and check or click on pit bulls up for adoption to see her info, and you can see her adorable glasses that she has on. This is Esther.
And this is Ruth.
For Plano's Political Pit Bulls, signing off.